The Electra complex is a concept from psychoanalytic theory describing a girl's supposed unconscious attachment to her father and rivalry toward her mother. Carl Jung introduced the term in 1913 while discussing psychological development. It is often presented as a female counterpart to Sigmund Freud's Oedipus complex. However, Freud did not favor this terminology, and modern psychology does not generally consider the Electra complex a scientifically established universal process. The name comes from Electra, a character in ancient Greek mythology. She was the daughter of Agamemnon and Clytemnestra. After Clytemnestra and her lover killed Agamemnon, Electra supported her brother Orestes in avenging their father's death. Jung used Electra's devotion to her father and hostility toward her mother as a symbolic model for the psychological conflict he believed could occur within a daughter's relationship with her parents. In classical psychoanalytic explanations, the Electra complex was associated with early childhood, particularly the period Freud called the phallic stage, roughly between 3 and 6 years of age. The theory proposes that a girl becomes especially attached to her father while experiencing her mother as a competitor for his affection. These feelings were considered unconscious rather than deliberate, and psychoanalysts connected the conflict with developing identity and personality. According to traditional interpretations, the conflict is resolved when the girl identifies more strongly with her mother and moves beyond rivalry. Identification supposedly allows her to adopt values, behaviors, and social roles associated with the same-sex parent. Psychoanalytic theorists connected this process with personality development and moral standards. Different psychoanalysts offered varying explanations, however, and Freud's account of female development was more complicated than the simplified Electra model. An important distinction is that Jung, not Freud, coined the expression Electra complex. Freud developed the Oedipus complex and discussed girls' emotional development, but he rejected the idea that female experience could simply be described as a mirror image of the male Oedipal pattern. Therefore, saying Freud invented both terms is inaccurate. This distinction demonstrates disagreements among early psychoanalytic thinkers about childhood, sexuality, gender, and personality. The Electra complex has been discussed in psychology and literature, but its scientific status is limited. Critics argue that the theory depends heavily on interpretation and is difficult to test objectively. It also reflects assumptions about gender and traditional family structures that may not apply across cultures or households. Contemporary developmental psychology more commonly explains children's relationships through attachment, social learning, cognitive development, family dynamics, and other research-based approaches. In conclusion, the Electra complex is a psychoanalytic idea describing a girl's proposed unconscious attachment to her father and rivalry with her mother. Carl Jung named the concept after Electra from Greek mythology, while Freud developed related theories. It offered a way to interpret family relationships and unconscious conflict. Nevertheless, it should not be treated as a proven description of how all girls develop. Modern psychology relies on evidence-based approaches to understanding children and families. Learning about the Electra complex is useful for understanding psychoanalytic history and debates about personality in modern thought.